Canada is no longer the country it used to be. It's simply not worth coming anymore. Look, there's the Canadian flag flying proud and strong, but it's just not the same anymore. How true is this? We've been seeing it a lot. Here I am in the neighborhood where I live, and look, it's still the same. A little lake, kids playing freely and safely. But we have this layer of smoke that fills the whole neighborhood and makes it not look as nice anymore, and it's not as enjoyable. And this smoke isn't the Canadians' fault, it's because of the fires. And it's not that Canada has bad management, it's global warming. There's more drought, less rain. And this smoke is going to be the perfect metaphor for how Canada is right now. Same country structure and system, but it's no longer enjoyed the same way. Salaries are no longer enough to live on. You can't save, you can't send money home, you can't find a house, and there are no jobs. All these complaints have come from recent immigrants to Canada. But if all this is true, why haven't they gone back? Why are they still here in Canada? But they can't all be lying either. Let's look at them one by one. Housing, wages, employment, health insurance.
The prices of basic goods just keep going up and up.
Crime rate, and the immigration process for Latinos. Where do all these aspects stand? How much have they gotten worse? How much have they improved, and what is going to happen? And we are going to look at the statistics, numbers, and interviews, so stay tuned to find out once and for all. In 2024, is it really worth it to immigrate to Canada? Let's see. Many things have changed since I arrived in this country. Things are no longer so easy for Canadians or immigrants alike. It's even harder for them because this economic situation is something they've never experienced before. But for us, the Spanish-speaking brothers, it's nothing we're not used to. In my immigration company, I've seen it every day with the workers we've brought in. When the Canadian gives up, we step in and help them restore their country to its former glory. Who will make Canada great again? Well, Hispanic workers. The numbers overall, the full panoramic view of the country is still very good. Canada's gross domestic product continues to have the highest growth in the developed world after the United States. The United States is first, Canada is second. Very good, very decent. But Canada is failing in a key factor. Something that very few people know where to find this metric. You have to go not to the government statistics, but to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's where you get this key number that I'm showing you. Look, it's productivity per worker. In other words, how much you produce at your job has been stagnant or has gone down. This is what's messing up Canada. It means that companies are spending more because of inflation, but they're producing the same amount. And this is happening in all industries: restaurants, hotels, construction, mining. The country is suffering everywhere. And this is due to many factors, but there's one main reason, which is the workers. Here's the thing. Canada created a perfect environment for this stagnant productivity, and that's because there are no workers. Companies have to spend to bring them in. Therefore, they give them a heavier workload. They choose to pay them less to make up for that expense. And this leads to two key problems. The Canadian-born person can't find the job he wants. And wages aren't going up because temporary workers keep them low. And the temporary worker who comes here isn't happy with the job he gets because they give him too much work and don't pay him well. And most of these workers are from other countries where the jobs they do here, like construction, aren't common. So they don't know how to do them, or they don't know how to do them efficiently. And once they learn how to do it efficiently, they leave for another job. And if they don't find something in that same field, then they start from scratch again to learn another trade. And the company already invested in training him and he wasn't producing much. And once he started to produce, well, he left and they have to spend again to bring in someone new. And this is what, in general, is causing very low productivity throughout the country. And this is a characteristic, a chain of many things. Less consumption, less consumer confidence, less of everything. And it keeps wages low and workers dissatisfied. I had the opportunity to talk with the workers who found a job offer on our portal, and they came to work here in Edmonton. We verify the conditions of each job we offer one by one before the contract, but there are many that don't. So the satisfaction rate among workers who come to Canada is no longer the same. Let's look at it in a very simplified way. All the problems that Canada already had, all of them have tripled or quadrupled in the last 5 years. I mean, Canada was an excellent country, I'm telling you, and I stand by my opinion. I've already been to many countries in the world, and in my opinion, Canada is still the best place for an immigrant who is starting from scratch to live. If you're a millionaire, go invest in the United States. Or if you have passive income with businesses you can manage online, a remote job, then yes, of course, go travel the world. Canada would just be somewhere to visit briefly, see the mountains and some snow, then leave. What are you doing here? But if you're a Hispanic starting from scratch, Canada is still the best country in the world for you to live in. I never said it's a perfect country, it's a very good country. Well, all those problems that kept it from being perfect have gotten worse, they've increased. Again, here are the topics we're going to cover. The main complaint among Canadians right now, both immigrants and those born here, visitors, temporary residents, everyone, is the price of food. Employment, wages, housing, healthcare, crime rates, and the immigration process. Let's start with the first one, the housing crisis. Canada is receiving 500,000 people a year. This, although it's very good because it gives so many people the opportunity to come and have a better life, and in the future it will strengthen its economy because it needs all these people, means that while everyone is settling in, there just aren't enough houses. The housing crisis is inevitable, undeniable.
The price of houses keeps going up, and people who took out a loan to buy a house 2 years ago, their mortgage changed and their payment increased by 12%.
It's one of the worst in the world. You have Toronto and Vancouver, which are some of the most expensive cities to live in the world, and no matter how many houses they build, it still wouldn't be enough because of the number of new immigrants who come every year, 500,000. No country in the world can build 500,000 houses a year. This housing crisis affects a society, a country, much more than we realize. The housing crisis, with housing not being accessible, affects the birth rate. Couples have fewer children, which we already know weakens the economy and means more immigrants are needed, which makes the housing crisis even worse, which makes people have even fewer children. And productivity also suffers. If you don't have a comfortable and stable place to live, you'll be less productive at work. This has been statistically proven, but we have statistically proven it. We are the exception, because we are already used to it. We grew up in a crisis not only of housing, but a crisis of everything. Mention me. What aspect of a good government that brings happiness to the people is not in crisis? In Latin America, where others see it as impossible? We find ways to get by, we adapt and figure things out, and we set an example for others so they don't give up. In this case, we will set that example and encourage the Canadians.
Personally, I think now is the time when opportunities are opening up for people who have skills in construction, to get a work permit or to immigrate to Canada. And above all, even now when they are restricting entry to the country even more, that's when opportunities are opening up for people like this.
My opinion is that as more people come, especially Hispanics, most of them work in construction while they get their residency. At least we men are the backbone of the construction industry. Here in Canada, that's how it is. Hispanics, despite being such a small population, are the driving force behind Canada's construction industry. If Canada wants to build more houses and solve its housing crisis, it's going to need more Hispanics, one way or another. And it's not going to happen overnight, it's going to take time, but we Latinos are going to get all this work done.
In fact, the province of Alberta is giving a $5,000 credit for people who have a skill in construction so they can help solve this. These opportunities are only being given by the province to people who have a skill in the construction field.
Second, crime. This crime has increased. Things that never used to happen here, like someone breaking into your house or breaking into your car. Some people on the far right say this is because of migration, that it's because of migration from third world countries, because they're letting Latinos in, right? The statistics don't lie. Most of the crime in Canada is being committed by people born in Canada, and the root cause is addiction. People are using drugs. And once you're addicted, you can't keep a full-time job. and they turn to crime, and this is because the laws in Canada are ridiculous. There's no punishment for committing crime. We'll look at it more in depth in another video, but to sum it up here, you can take someone's life and be in jail for less than 8 months. A cocaine addict needs $300,000 a year per year. Where are they going to get that from, honestly? And that's the thing. Latinos, immigrants, less than 1% of the drug addicts on the street are immigrants. 99% were born in Canada. So, crime went up. Neighborhoods are still much safer than in Latin America, of course. Let's move on to the next one. Salaries. Salaries were affected by the number of immigrants who came in who are not considered skilled workers, meaning they don't have a skill that's useful in Canada and established.
Look, in 2018, salaries for a skill like a construction driver were at $26 per hour. In 2022, it went up to $27 per hour, and in 2023, it went up to $30 per hour.
Very simply, many people, I would say millions, came in who don't have the experience. I'm not saying they lack skill or intelligence. Of course, they have skill and intelligence, but they don't have the experience to do the jobs that are here in Canada. All the trades to work here take 2 or 3 years to learn well so that you can be productive and earn a good salary. So, if you have all these people who don't have experience, they get paid little, and once they learn, you just get someone else who also knows little so you can keep paying less. The government had these programs specifically to attract people who already know how to do the jobs, but if you recruit people from other countries, this is impossible. Obviously, they're not going to know how to build a house in Canada. You have to train them. And this is what has caused wages not to rise in line with inflation. I'm telling you.
Let's hope that in 2024 it increases by 15% to adjust wages to the basic basket throughout the country.
Now, the medical service, if it's overcrowded, you're accepting 500,000 people every year. Of course, it's overcrowded. In some aspects, not so much. For example, I was traveling recently to create content. India, Thailand, Singapore, all these countries. And when I came back, well, I went for my medical checkup. Because there's a shortage of family doctors, I don't have one, and instead go to a walk-in clinic where no appointment is needed. Sometimes you wait 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. The longest I've waited is half an hour. I went and they let me in. Right away, I told the doctor I was there for my regular checkup, and he sent me to the lab to get blood tests to see how I was doing. They took care of me the same day at the lab, and I waited about 30 minutes. They gave me the results the next day, and the doctor called me saying, "Come in so we can discuss your results." For me, from my point of view, excellent. But recently, a friend of mine, his son fell, hit his head, and they waited about 6 hours in the emergency room. So, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, it just depends on your luck, but honestly, the medical service is overwhelmed. Not because it's inefficient, slow, or corrupt, but because there are way more people than it was designed for. As long as immigrants come, learn English, take nursing courses, more nurses graduate, and the children of immigrants study to become doctors. Medical careers that are valid in Canada, so they no longer have to revalidate their studies, all of that helps reorganize the medical service. On top of this, add the inflation that's happening worldwide. I mean, I'm not going to deny reality to you. The cost of living in Canada has gone up a lot in recent years. I arrived in Canada in 2002. Since then, the Canadian dollar has lost a third of its value. But you can't deny that this is worldwide. This isn't just a problem in Canada. Inflation, do you see inflation in your country? How much did you spend at the supermarket 3 years ago versus now? The same thing is happening in Canada, and this inflation has caused 2 key products to skyrocket in price: energy and food. With those two, you have enough to keep a society, the general population, discontented and struggling every day. So Canadians already have to work more hours to buy the same things.
Currently, construction across the country has decreased quite a bit, especially in provinces like Ontario, but not everything is so bad. It is true that there are provinces where there is still a labor shortage.
The Bank of Canada started a strategy to lower this inflation. Yes, they stopped it, they slowed it down considerably. But even so, prices have not gone back down to the levels they were before the pandemic or before the 2008 crisis. Even so, the government maintains its quota of 500,000 immigrants per year, which has made Canadians, in general, a bit less receptive to mass immigration. They are not anti-immigrant, they are not racist, they are not going to attack you in the street. But they no longer support the quotas of millions of immigrants with as much enthusiasm. All this migration led to the population growing faster than the economy grew. That's the simplest way I can describe the situation in Canada right now. Imagine you have a daycare, right? And you've been operating for years, and you have 10 kids, and you already have your routine. You give them their lunch, their nap, their bath, everything, all the activities for the kids. And suddenly they bring you two more, and then another two, and every day two more come in, and you get overwhelmed. That's how Canada is right now, an excellent country that has a lot more population than it has the capacity to accept, but it does have the capacity to assimilate. It's just that over time, right now we're squeezed with very few rentals available and the cost of living has skyrocketed. But what we also have is the ability to readjust and reactivate the economy, and this country is going to keep rising. Now, my final conclusion, my final opinion. Hispanics are the ones who are going to save Canada because the kind of person needed to come to Canada is someone who can adapt to a housing crisis. We are going to adapt to hard work. We are going to adapt to starting with a low salary. And you come with the desire to move forward, to start from the bottom, and once you're at the top, you help others. We have all these qualities, so Canada's salvation isn't immigrants from India, China, or Europe, it's immigrants from Latin America. Do your own research, investigate all the areas in which Canada needs to increase its productivity, and tell me in which one. We Latinos are not superstars, but every area in which Canada has a shortage, we can fill it perfectly. The only thing this government has to do is let us in legally. Would you like to be one of those Latino immigrants who are going to contribute so that Canada continues to be the world power that it still is? Give us a call at CB Canada Immigration. We can help you.
If you want to know more about this topic and how do I think Canada will look in a few months, and why are they denying permits in some provinces and granting them in others? I just uploaded a video to my channel, Giovanna Mesqua. See you in the next one.